Hello, everybody. I am Daz Greenwood, a scientist at the Media Lab, where I run law.MIT.edu. And this video is an introduction to RChain and their RSong tool in preparation for the Open Media Legal Hack Distributed Legal Hackathon series. You can find out more about that at legalhackathon.org. And I'd like to encourage everybody to take a close look at RChain and these tools. And if you're a hacking team and participating in any of the venues around the world, consider using them and see what great stuff you can come up with. So we've got a whole team here from RChain. I'm very impressed to say, and they've got some great slides to kind of walk us through who you are and what your tool is and how people could find it and use it. I want to hand it off to Dan Connolly, who's a Rolang developer and involved with the RChain community. So Dan, take it away.
All right, thanks a lot. So we've got RChain and RSong is an application using it. So there's a lot of blockchain projects, and RChain is addressing scalability as one of the main things it's addressing. And so the chain in RChain actually is concurrent. So this is kind of an interesting visualization of the Casper consensus protocol and the approach to correct by construction stuff. So that's a Medium article that I'm trusting you're going to distribute the slides too. So that's fun to look at. So that's an important part of the platform. So RChain is a cooperative. That's the way the project is governed and stuff like that. Right. So the platform is built on this row calculus, which has got this very simple expression right there. There's lots more to it, of course, but that's the front side one-page version of the platform right there. So that's a lot of where the scalability comes from. Security is also sort of built into the platform using capability-based security. And in some sense, the sustainability comes from the governance using a cooperative. So the core development all happens on GitHub out there in open source. You can just watch the commits as they come in. And you can see the release plan and all that kind of stuff. Nothing up our sleeves. Okay, so the cooperative, as I mentioned, Greg Meredith is the president of the co-op. Greg, I don't know if you want to say hi. So every Wednesday at 11 o'clock Pacific time, anybody can, he tells
Sorry, I just found the unmute button. Hi there.
There you go. Hello, Greg. All right, and everybody can see him every Wednesday at 11 o'clock Pacific time, and those were recorded. I talked about the repository, and then for developing smart contracts, Joshi, is your audio working, or should I take it away here?
Yeah, I think we're good to go. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, great. So Kayvan is going to show a little bit about RSong later, which is a full-scale, ready to impress anyone kind of dApp. And for many of you who are new coming to the platform, you might need a gentle introduction, or at least a more gentle introduction. And so I've put together, with the help of Dan and several others here at the co-op, some resources for that. So what we're looking at right now is a tutorial that I've written called Learn Rolang by Example. And it takes you through, starting from that code snippet that just scrolled up is hello world. And it takes you through some of the more advanced aspects of the Rolang language. And it's an interesting language because if you've programmed other languages, it might be a little bit of a mind twist at the beginning. But once you get the hang of it, or if you're coming to Rolang as your first language, it really makes a lot of sense. And so I think that anyone can learn it, even if you're just starting at a hackathon. Some of those other links that I put on the slides include beginner and intermediate dApp examples. So like I said, if you want to see how to build one that is like on its way to being enterprise ready, Kayvan's RSong example is a good way to go. This is a little more of a hello world level one. It's called Nth Caller, and the README that Dan's showing there is a walkthrough to build this dApp on your own from the ground up. So my code is there. You can make it run, and then you can build it all by yourself by following this one long page of instructions that I have. The next link we don't need to see right now, but it's a similar thing. It's a minimal social media dApp that runs on RChain, and same thing. It has a walkthrough for how to build it all by yourself. both of those projects use this JavaScript API that Dan and I and another developer named Chris have written together. And it basically is a nice way to communicate with an R node from JavaScript. So if you don't want to be an expert in gRPC or get that far into the weeds, we have a really nice wrapper library so you can just make native JavaScript calls. And the final link is a similar library in Python that we didn't write, but one of the teams that's building on RChain called Proof Media did write for us. So all those resources are going to be available at the hackathon for you to use and learn from.
Great, and I'll take all of we'll publish the slides on our site, and I'll also go ahead and kind of scrape the core resources and put it on our RChain wiki page. We have a little wiki page on our GitHub site that we're using, to GitHub pages for the event site for all of the tool vendors or the tool projects, I should say, and just encourage you to go wild and feel free to curate that and to add stuff as we get in, to the hackathon or after, so people can find all your great stuff.
Wonderful.
Okay, so who's next?
Kayvan, are you going to talk about operating a node and stuff?
You're muted, Kayvan.
So we have this guide for running a node while Kayvan gets booted up here. So a lot of us practice this every Tuesday morning. We have our testnet running since September. There's kind of traditional deployment in your garage or whatever. You can also run it on Amazon Web Services or Raspberry Pi. All right, Kayvan.
Excellent, thank you. So let me share my screen. I think that's the way it goes, right? For me to be able to walk through this. 1 second. Go. Share screen. Cool. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. What I'd like to talk to you about is about one of our first distributed application, RSong. RSong is a real-time mobile app. Basically, you could go and use those references, install it on your Android or iOS version. Right now, all the installations are free. This is basically the beta version. I do encourage you to install it and see how it works. So besides the mobile app, there is a RChain or a blockchain backend perspective. And that's the part that I really want to talk about today. The links there will take you to the repository. So why don't I just do that as we talk about. The entire project is open source. So if you work your way to RChain and eventually you find RSong proxy and RSong acquisition. The names say it right there. Basically, acquisition is the part that we start acquiring the music assets that are coming in. From RSong perspective, music assets are basically just a bunch of files that are coming in. And the metadata that's associated with that RSong tells us how we can put these assets together in a way that it formulates a coherent music that we could distribute. So why don't we go to the repo and talk in terms of the diagram. Here we go. Hopefully everybody can see that. So we talked about the acquisition part. And once we acquire the music, we put everything in our blockchain implementation, which is our R node servers. We have a roll-end contract that is the meat behind the entire magic. This roll-end contract basically is composed of a number of wallets that are associated with all the artists that are associated with that music that we're distributing. And that's really is one of the first, for the first time to my knowledge, that regular artists, without having to go through a label company, can publish their art, their music, in a way that they get that they can monetize it immediately without having to wait till a label company publishes that and then get paid sometime later. Now, as far as the infrastructure goes, again, since this is a mobile app, we added some flexibility into the infrastructure by introducing Kubernetes structure. So everything is in continuous delivery. Everything is through Circle CI. And once you check your code in, there is a number of events that get triggered. And as a result of that, the entire code gets deployed into a Google Cloud. And since we're running on a Kubernetes cluster, we could scale up and down to meet any kind of demands that we experience. I do encourage you to go through the GitHub repo, look at the source code, look at this K8 spec that walks you through how the entire infrastructure is built. And this project is infrastructure as code. There isn't really any hand-holding to get it to work. Is there any questions that I can answer?
There probably will be questions people will have, and we can curate those through the forum at legalhackathon.org, and make sure they're available for you to reply to, and fill out the documentation on your wiki page. One observation is that the way you framed the business capability, if you will, of this code base being able to instantly and kind of continuously put the power in the hands of the musicians and creators to get their work out there, distributed, and to have a mechanism for remuneration is very, very relevant. It's kind of the center point of the value proposition that we're hoping to have people hack on to come up with more ideas and potential solutions. And so I just want to observe that it's directly on point for this, the theme of the hackathon series. So back to you.
Awesome, excellent. I really encourage the people that are interested to actually walk through the repository. What you just mentioned, again, the entire project is open source. And what you just mentioned is really outlined in this right here, the row calculus, the row language that we use for developing RChain. The entire contract, it's a multi-sig contract, is right here. I do encourage you to take a look at it, go through the tutorial, and it really should make sense once you look at the tutorial, once you look at the spec, and spend some time on it.
Great.
And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in Boston.
Great. And can I ask, did you want to, if you already did and I missed it, I apologize, but did you want to do a bit of a drill down on our song? What I want to ask is, where do people go to, just to highlight it, install, config, run our song specifically, and what kind of dependencies should they be aware that they're going to need? I know that it's infrastructure as a service, there's no hand holding, but if you could give people a little bit of a leg up and bottom line what the journey is going to be, that would be helpful. And then what's the key place to look for documentation, just to, that will get them into some of the answers that they'll need?
Certainly. So I'm assuming that we're talking about the backend, the proxy itself.
You might mention the front end, though. You can go to the Google Play Store.
Right. Very good. Thank you. So these links that we provide here, they basically take you to where you could download the mobile app. And here is the Android version. So you just go there and download it for free. The moment you download it, you're allocated a number of tokens. In this case, I think our default for the beta version is 50 tokens. That allows you to start playing with music and get a feel for it. So what that token will eventually translate to when we're out of the beta version and we're actually in production with a lot more assets, is that's how the token gets divided into, or at some time gets monetized, and that's how the artist will get paid. As users consume the token, that token gets, the value that token represents will be distributed among the artists accordingly. Now, going back to the question that you asked me regarding the platform itself. So one thing that I have to caution you is we're still in development phase. So we are trying to develop this platform and these apps as fast as we can. And what that translates to is a lot of time our documentation is a bit lagging. Now, in this case, our purpose for our song was to showcase a framework where a developer could come in and literally go to work immediately. To develop our song, it took us 2.5, I think Greg mentioned that today or yesterday, 2.5 developers. And I think we did it inside, by the time we got everybody together, we did this project inside a month. with 2.5 developers. And quite frankly, a lot of our time went into building the infrastructure, not so much the coding for it. The prerequisites for starting to work with RSong are outlined in these installs. This is a Scala project, so the minimum requirement is to have a JDK 8. You need to have SVT installed, and you definitely need to have Docker installed. Literally walk through the repo, clone it. Once you clone it, provided that you have met the installation requirement, you should literally just say SVT compile and go.
Thanks.
Now,
that's what I was looking for. I don't, maybe because I'm not a great developer by any stretch, somehow just having the authoritative person say that's what I'm supposed to do goes a long way when I'm looking at a blinking cursor, wondering how to use a brand new tool. So that I appreciate you kind of just saying it out loud, you know, like when pointing it out on the README goes a long way.
Great. And I encourage people, as people start interacting with our repo, please fork it. Please make comments. If the README is not correct, let us know, and we'll get it fixed. If you come across a problem, probably somebody else has had that too. Don't be shy. Just let us know. We'll jump on it. To run the project, there is certain requirements. You do need to set your environment variables. The code assumes that these environment variables are set. And again, the README goes through how you might do it. And what else can I tell you about it? There is a script in the folder that allows you to do integration tests. It also allows you to build the Docker images really quick. The project as a whole does use a Redis cache to speed the process, and the README goes through how you could install the Redis cache on Docker locally. Now, for deployment purposes, if you wanted to deploy this into the environment that it's supposed to be, that environment is Kubernetes. This part here allows you to go through and basically deploy the app into an environment. I think the requirement for that is, of course, to have the SDK for Kubernetes and Google Cloud. Did that walk you through? Did that answer your question?
That's good. I hereby declare victory. For real. This is really impressive, and I can't wait to get my paws on it or sit at a table with MIT people that can get their paws on it and ride along to see how this is implemented and deployed and how we can configure it to reflect and support some more innovative business models and legal frameworks. There's a lot of opportunity in this space now, and we're hoping to catalyze some good idea flow and maybe get some great examples. And you heard them, everybody, but I just want to highlight: be a good citizen, make the pull requests. If you do find errors, or if you're able to fill some gaps, like be a good community citizen and give back. And maybe we'll give you a special prize or an MIT hat or something at the end. If you've got a bunch of pull requests merged, then you are good and you're doing it the right way. So thanks. Is there anything that you all want to say at the RChain, the RChain gang, by way of a wrap up or closing?
Actually, yeah, I'd love to say a little bit here. William Gibson, the guy who wrote Neuromancer, he has a famous phrase: "The street finds its own uses for things." And one of the things that we're so excited about is getting this technology in the hands of the brilliant people at MIT and Harvard and all those folks up in the Boston area, because we have a feeling that the next 100 geniuses coming out of there are going to figure out ways of using this technology that we never even thought of. And I'm just so excited to see what people will do with this. RSong is just one of hundreds and hundreds of applications that we can think of. And we have a feeling that they're going to be these people who are thinking about this in ways we never thought of, and are going to come up with innovations that strike right to the heart of the problems that we're facing. We need to coordinate with each other in a completely different way now. And we think that the good folks you're talking to are probably the generation we're going to have to rely on to solve those problems.
Here. So the gauntlet has been thrown down. So all you hackers this weekend in New York and over the next few days in Kansas City and Brazil and at MIT, you know, pick up the gauntlet and see what you can do. You know, together we are Song. Okay, well, thank you very much for taking the time, everybody, and we'll look forward to seeing you online. Bye-bye now.